Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Respecting the Beer. My name is Gary Arndt. With me again are the good doctors, Bobby and Allison. And we got a really interesting episode for you today. We got a man who's a beer journalist. He's a beer judge and the founder of the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame, Marty Nachel. And I got to say, my condolences. I know you live outside of Chicago. Just wanted to say that because that's what we do in Wisconsin.
We have a Packers fan here.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
So before we jump into it, why don't you tell everyone who you are and your background with respect to beer and brewing?
Okay, my name is Marty Nachel. I have been involved in the craft beer industry in one way or another over the past, coming up on 40 years now. I started out, home brewing, like, you heard that story many times over. But in getting into home brewing, I also started submitting my beers to competitions and realizing that it was just about the same time that the BJCP was just being formed also. So I wanted to be a part of that. I became a BJCP judge. I was the first one in the state of Illinois, one of the first 70 in all of North America. And so got involved with as many different home brewing things I could do and involved with local clubs. And eventually that led to doing some writing on the side. There was a magazine called All About Beer. Back then it was owned by somebody else, but I published my first freelance article in 1987. And it just snowballed from there between the judging and the writing. Eventually I started judging out at the Great American Beer Festival, and now I do World Beer Cup. I also judge internationally. I've been to several different countries judging. My writing career led to the publication of Beer for Dummies and Homebrewing for Dummies, both of which are now in third editions. So I've been keeping busy.
And what is BJCP?
The Beer Judge Certification Program.
Oh, so this isn't some willy-nilly thing where you can just judge beer. You got to
Absolutely not. No, this
briefly explain what, because we've talked about contests before. So we got you on the show, so we might as well ask. What are judges looking for?
Well, what the average person doesn't realize is that all beers are judged according to their style. This isn't a matter of a judge's opinion. It's not a like or dislike. We have to judge according to the published guidelines for a specific style. So we judge stouts according to their style. We judge brown ales according to their style, and so on. And right now, the BJCP has I don't know the exact number, but it's somewhere around 120 different styles. And the guidelines are published, and people who are involved in the BJCP, not just the judges, but also the home brewers who compete, they are, for the most part, familiar with the guidelines, and they submit their beers according to those guidelines in specific beer styles, and that's how they're judged.
And some of the styles are not IPA, right?
No, too many of them are actually.
So we have these information cards for our taproom staff about all the different beers that we serve here.
Nice.
And I actually go straight to the BJCP guidelines and okay, here's the top talking points. It gives a little bit of history. And so for anyone listening who wants to know a little bit more of the styles, you can just Google Helles Lager BJCP. That will get you to the website. And it's such an easy, wonderful, doctrine of beer styles that we use all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty well known, and it's extremely functional for anybody who is interested enough to do a little bit of Googling. They will find the information they're looking for.
Was it Gordon Strong that helped with the most recent revision, or?
He's been involved in several of the last revisions. It goes back to, there was, I think, 2007, 2015, 2021, or 22. I'm not sure exactly. And they're constantly tinkering with it because styles do evolve a little bit, especially here in the United States. Maybe not so much in Europe or around the world. But based on feedback, because BJCP is not limited to the United States. There are BJCP certified judges around the world. I happen to know several. And so when you get feedback from somebody in Germany or in England or the Czech Republic, they say your American guidelines really don't quite fit what we're experiencing here in our country. So, they give this feedback, which is extremely valuable. And that's why they're constantly tinkering with the guidelines. bringing them up to date.
And that's just one thing that you do.
I want to touch on this some more because what's the contest in Colorado?
Great American Bill.
Yeah.
Great
Okay.
American Beer Festival.
They have their own guidelines, right? They may mirror what you're doing, but they're different. Yeah.
Are they?
Correct. Yes. Great American Beer Festival and the World Beer Cup are both the property of the Brewers Association.
Right.
And to your point that they have their own guidelines, yes, they do. They're pretty similar to the BJCP. One major difference, if you were to compare them side by side, right now, last time I looked and counted, the GABF and World Beer Cup have approximately 160 different beer styles. So
God.
obviously there's a discrepancy there.
Right.
And I can sum up the reasoning for that to the fact that the BA puts on their competitions for profit. This is one of the biggest profit centers for the BA, the Brewers Association. So the more styles they create, the more breweries can submit beers. And by the way, it costs about $180.
We know very well.
Okay,
But I
there
want
you go.
it helps our listeners to know that.
Yeah.
Please continue. How much does it cost? I missed that.
Yeah, it's about 180.
Per
I
style.
don't know the exact number, but I
185.
know it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep.
So we were sitting around here drinking, as we do,
Good on you.
and we hatched an idea that there's a West Coast double IPA that you guys brew that they're very proud of.
The bell just rang. So we're ringing the
And-
bell every time it's served, and it just happened.
The thought was, right after a batch was brewed, we should get it fresh and drive to Colorado
I feel
to deliver it as soon as we can.
they definitely have an advantage there if you look at the number of medals per brewery on the IPA category.
Is that crazy, or is there like crazy like a fox that kind of makes sense?
It does make sense. I know some breweries who have really gone out of their way. I can't say that I know any that actually drove out there, but I don't doubt that for a minute. Freshness is of paramount importance when it comes to submitting beers to competition.
Especially
Um,
IPAs, double IPAs.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any of the hoppy styles that that really depend on having that fresh piquant hop nose.
And I taste them every day out of the fermenter. I think the same thing. If I could just get this liquid in those judges' hands. Yeah.
Right. And I know how difficult that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And what is your personal favorite style of beer?
I know this is going to sound like a really lame response, but I am a huge hop fan. I love hoppy beers. I always have. In my home brewing days, I used to hop the crap out of my beers. So yes, I like IPAs, but that's not the only one. My other favorites, I like Belgian styles because of the yeast character of those that you don't find in most other beer styles from around the world. So I'm a big fan of doubles and triples and things like that. Yeah.
This very podcast just released a triple to its supporters this week. Yeah. That no one else can get.
For those that subscribe on Patreon.
There you go.
We gotta constantly be selling.
We're
I'm
pushing
just
this
saying.
hard.
A lot of your journalism efforts, what is it you're typically writing about?
Beer.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
but
I
there's
know, I
the
know.
course of the brewing industry, craft brewing, home brewing.
I've actually covered a lot of the same stuff over the years. I've been doing this for 30 some odd years. My first article was on a beer here in the Chicago area called Berghoff beer. We had a restaurant here that Chicagoans know. It's been around since 1878 or something like that. But the interesting thing is the beer, even though they always had a house beer, it was never, ever brewed in Chicago. It was always contract brewed somewhere else. In the case of the product that I was writing about, it was being brewed at the Falstaff Brewery in Indiana at that time. Anyway, back to your question. I've covered judging topics. I've covered homebrew topics. I've covered beer and food pairing topics. So pretty much the gamut, really.
They literally put all their beer stuff in a pickup truck and came up to avoid the Dust Bowl.
That is true. That is true.
So why don't we get into the main topic of this, and that's the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame, which is your brainchild. Why don't you explain what it is and how it came about?
I'll tell you what it is first. The idea behind the Craft Beer Hall of Fame is to look backwards in time and appreciate where we are today, looking back, where did we come from? It's primarily about the people. You know, who was there at the beginning? Who was responsible for kicking off this craft beer? They call it a revolution, a renaissance, whatever the case. Back then, by the way, it wasn't called craft beer. It was called micro beer, micro brews. But it dates back to 1976. And a lot of people have contributed to the industry. A lot of them came and went, but somewhere along the line, they left their mark. And many of them are still there leaving their mark. I thought it was important because we're now 40 plus years into this revolution. I was thinking about how these people need to be remembered, much like we do at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all the other football, baseball, those halls of fame. There should be one for beer. And I was shocked 2 years ago, it was I think it was November of 23. I was wondering if somebody had done this. So I did multiple Google searches, and every time I tried, it came up empty. And I was astounded that there was no such thing. And I thought, I need to take this idea to somebody who can make it happen. And I started making a list of, okay, this person might be able to help, this person might be able to help. And it finally dawned on me, it's like, why don't I just do this? Why don't I take the reins? And I will contact those folks to help me out. And that's essentially what happened. That list of folks that I had to hand the idea over to, I decided to invite them to become my advisors. Right now, I maintain a list of approximately 40 advisors. We do have a board of directors of the president, and I have 4 other people who we meet approximately every 2 weeks by Zoom, and we discuss what we've done so far, what's worked, what hasn't, what do we need to do to move forward. So it's living and breathing as we speak. We're going to be going into the second cycle of nominations and votes coming up in the fall, and we're gearing up for that right now.
How many people are going to be in the inaugural class?
Well, we already did that. The first class was inaugurated in February, and there were exactly 12 people. There were 19 on the ballot. 12 of them made it in according to our guidelines that require them to get 70% of the vote. So yeah, we do have our inaugural class in there. We're gearing up for year number 2.
Don't hold us in suspense. Can you list them by memory? Yeah.
I'll see if I can do this.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty obvious. Charlie Papazian, Fritz Maytag, Ken Grossman.
Of course. Hang on, I'm looking up the list.
Oh, I'm going to have to cheat eventually.
She's cheating
the
right
hall.
now.
Oh, the hall. Oh, my God.
She's clicking on your own website.
Yes.
Yeah, there's Charles Finkel and his wife, Roseanne.
Wait. I don't know that
Finkel.
name.
Oh, we don't know those. Who?
See, that's the whole idea of this hall.
Yes.
We need to remind people where we came from. So yeah, the Finkels were very important to the early years of the craft brewing industry. Burt Grant was another one. I don't know if you recognize that name.
No.
Nothing?
Entering the
This
hall.
highlights the importance of what you're doing. Because I'm in the industry, I don't know these names.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, That's our mission.
There's different corridors of the hall. Oh, how amazing.
McAuliffe of New Albion, was he listed or in the conversation? Jack McAuliffe?
Yeah, Jack. He's in the hall.
Oh my God.
There he is. I just looked at him.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was numero uno back in 1976.
Okay.
Susie Stern, Jane Zimmerman. Cool.
They were actually co-founders of New Albion. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Burt Grant.
I don't know these names, a lot of these names. This is great.
Ken Grossman. Well, no kidding. Him.
Mm-hmm.
Fritz Maytag. Yeah.
You're right. Like it's half, and Jim Cook.
Jim Cook. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing.
So half of them are obvious, but half of them aren't.
This is real time
That's
geeking
really
out
good.
right now.
Yeah.
What a good list.
Yeah.
We're sorry we didn't do any more research beforehand. The Brewers.
We thought we knew all the answers, but we didn't. We had no idea some of these.
Question is, betting on beer make you ineligible for the hall?
Or steroids. Is there an asterisk involved?
Well, I understand that the question was made in jest, but we actually do have a code of conduct, and we do vet anybody who makes it to the ballot.
Whoa. Okay.
You can find that code of conduct on the website.
Finkel. Oh my gosh, he went to Oklahoma. So Bobby and I got our PhDs from University of Oklahoma.
Very
As
cool.
did Charles. Well, he got his marketing and studying design degree from University of Oklahoma. Charles Spiegel.
Merchant Dude, Vince.
Right, Merchant Dude.
That's how I
Oh my
discovered
God.
Sam Spid. Oh my God, that's the beginning of my entire arc.
Yes.
So the
This
light
was
is going
so
off,
good.
right?
Oh my God, this is the guy.
And his wife Rose.
This is
Yes.
Sam Smith for me. My Ratatouille moment.
Yes.
Joel, so we have someone here who describes
Oh
our
my
IPA
gosh.
as giving people this Ratatouille moment, all these flavor explosions in their mind. Of course.
I
Yeah,
look at the
the original
advocates
Michael Jackson.
and
here.
innovators, Michael
Yeah, I
Jackson.
like it.
We have a big picture of Michael Jackson in our tap room, and we celebrate his birthday every year. We bake a cake and we sing
March
him happy
27th,
birthday.
I think.
Very cool.
Charlie Papazian, of course.
Which I actually he's one of the few celebrities that I have been starstruck by. I've met him at
Papazian?
conferences, and I don't
Yeah.
even approach him. I don't meet him. I see him even 1 foot away from me, checking his phone. I'm checking my phone. I won't even lean over and say hi because I'm so starstruck by this guy. I lived on Spruce Street in Boulder, so I'm from his neck of the woods for sure. Yeah.
Oh.
And then
I
somehow
judged Charlie at the Great American Beer Festival and most recently in Monterey, Mexico last June.
I hadn't heard of the Craft Beer Hall of Fame, which just tells you how much we need to support and tell the world about it, especially the craft beer world.
Thank you.
Are
but
you alone behind this? Is there a team behind this?
We just told you that there was a team of 40 advisors.
Well, I understand
Did
that.
you
but
listen?
I understand, but building the website. I'm looking at the website to my right.
Well, if you take a look at the board of
2024
directors,
sponsors.
you'll see our team.
Okay. There's a lot more than just selecting people and operating the website.
And I went to AmericanCraftBeerHallOfFame.com. And you can find, it says The Hall, and you can find all the really cool snippets of information of these amazing people.
When do you do the inductions, and where is there like a public ceremony that's held in conjunction with it?
Well, when we say public, it's via the internet. So we actually blast it out there for the public to view, but we don't actually have a physical brick and mortar location for people to gather. We haven't gotten to that point yet. You can actually view the induction ceremony if you care to go look it up. The link is on our website. What we did is we had, well, first of all, let me backtrack just a little bit. If you take a look at our board of directors, there's 5 of us. There's Lisa, who is in Oregon. There is myself here in the Chicago area. John has left our group. He's no longer with us. Matt is down in Atlanta, and Aaron is down near Charlotte, North Carolina. For the purpose of this induction ceremony, each one of us paired up with a local brewery, and we hooked up to the internet through our laptops, and we actually did the ceremony from 5 different locations across the country. And those locations included New Realm in Atlanta with Mitch Steele. I don't know if you guys know him.
We just did an interview with him.
Oh, very cool. There you
Yeah.
go. And Aaron drove up to Delaware to be with Sam at Dogfish Head. I was here at Dovetail in Chicago. Lisa was at the Shoots in Portland. And we invited a person from Colorado to sit in with Ashley at what's the famous lager brewery out there? The names escape me. It's very famous, very popular.
What was the town?
Colorado, Denver.
It's not Prost.
Or Cohesion?
No,
Or-
it's beer, B-I-E-R, Bierstadt.
Bierstadt. Oh, yes. My God. Everything is a slow pour. Everything's a side pour. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Also, Allison's scrolling through the list right now to my right. First of all, Jimmy Carter, of course, legalizing home brewing and how that had affected all this. But Lisa Morrison's on your list.
Yep.
I listened to her podcast for years.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, my God. She had a podcast she's based in Oregon, right?
Yes.
And she called out, I forget the pub. But anyway, I'm a fan of her. I listened to her for years. I don't know what her influence is otherwise, but she was my go-to podcaster.
So she was your inspiration then?
One of mine. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell her that.
What a great list.
This is really, these are the rock stars of the industry. How fun it is that you've done this. And hopefully, maybe are there plans for having GABF is coming up in October? Is that when it is?
Typically, yeah.
September? So is there a plan to like have a makeshift hall there, at least to put up the first signs of like that this thing exists? And it's not really brick and mortar. It's more like pop-up
this is
tent.
Spinal Tap, and there's a 12-inch Stonehenge. It drops on the stage.
Well, we do have that back of mind. We would like to do the induction ceremony very publicly at a place like the Great American Beer Festival. The unfortunate thing is, I don't know how much you know about the BA, but they're a very closed society. They tightly control everything they do. And I think we may be seen as competition.
Oh.
So they may not be very welcoming. We do hope to approach them with this idea. However, because we're only going into our second voting cycle, we only have 12 people in the hall. We haven't gained the traction that we want and need. I'm confident that at some point in time in the not too distant future, we will make that marriage.
How do people get nominated? Is there a nomination process?
Absolutely. We go to our advisors.
So just contact one of the advisors and suggest.
All of the advisors.
Cool.
All 40 of them are involved.
And 70% have to vote the candidate into the class, right?
Well, I need to add a little bit more explanation here. We go to our advisors for them to come up with names that should go on the ballot. We can't have 70 names. We want 20 on the ballot. So it's the ones who get nominated the most, the top 20, who make the ballot. Okay?
Wow.
Then once we've established the ballot, we also have 100 electors. We send out the ballot to 100 people, which does include the advisors and the board of directors. But if you do the quick math, that adds another 50 to 60 other people who are electors only. They fill out the ballot. 70% of them must vote for a single candidate in order for them to be inducted.
Right.
Wow.
I think once you hold the election, white suds should come out of chimney, like the election of the Pope.
I love it. I'll keep that in mind.
Until then, it's not. It's other colors. I like that.
By the way, if I confused you in any way, our voting and nominating procedures, that's also on the website. So you can look it up there too.
Yeah, I'm following along as you're explaining it, along with the code of ethics, which is there. Also a charitable mission. So part of the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame mission is to give back to the craft beer industry. Can you tell us a little bit about how you do that?
I wish I had more to tell you. We have had a very difficult time trying to find sponsors and trying to raise the funds that we need just to function as we are today. Unfortunately, we have no funds to share with others yet.
That's fair.
We're still working on it.
What did I say? Without margin, there is no mission. So
No,
got to hit margin first. But I think number one, just bringing these names, the names that you've listed that have made it to the Hall of Fame, which there's probably the longer list of those that didn't, we'd probably still be going crazy over those names as well. Those are household names in our family.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me happy to know that those names are being promoted and like the work that these people have done for the important role that they have had in the beer industry.
Right.
I'm very happy that they've been celebrated.
Well, I'm happy that you're happy because that is our goal. That's our reason for existing, really.
Let me ask you a question that's a little bit off the Hall of Fame. You've been following this industry a long time.
Yep.
You've written quite a bit about it. You know a lot of people in it. And there seems to be, we've talked about this a lot in the show, late 70s, early 80s, you're seeing a rise in the craft beer industry. And we hit a point where the number of breweries in the United States increased dramatically, especially from the 70s when there were just a handful of large breweries. And there's been a lot of talk about possibly the market becoming oversaturated. Where do you think we're at in terms of the craft beer industry right now?
My pin is up. I have to take notes.
We had been hearing about the bust that was coming. They started talking about that as early as, I think, 1997 is when they started talking about the craft beer bust. It never happened. The bust never really happened. The reason why we're in contraction right now, there's basically two reasons. Number one is because the bigger breweries like Anheuser-Busch and Miller, they started capitalize it. They started preying on the larger craft breweries like Goose Island. You guys are well aware of what happened to Goose Island. Wicked Weed, I could name 10 others.
Yeah, Goose Island was one of the very first.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the first domino to fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what started it. A lot of the bigger craft breweries started being bought out or somehow coming under the wing of these larger corporate breweries. So that was the first part. The second part was COVID. COVID basically body slammed the industry. We're now 4 or 5 years into post-COVID, and the industry is still hurting. Breweries are not opening as quickly as breweries are closing, unfortunately. We're seeing what some people are referring to as a correction. I don't call it that, because I truly believe in my heart that had COVID not happened, we would still be seeing growth. Not the growth that we saw 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but we would still be seeing more breweries opening than closing. I truly believe that.
I can agree with that from ground zero here. I would say packaged beer was where the little guys got into cans and bottles. They were otherwise selling everything through draft, mostly in their own tap room.
Right.
That was what maybe killed them. In the moment, it was great because it got the liquid out of the fermenters, but the margins are ridiculously low.
Yeah.
And I think you can't compete with the big guys on that stage. I think to your point, I'm backing what you're saying. COVID did a lot to damage the small brewing industry, for sure. Getting beer out those channels.
Well, it also just changed people's buying habits in the tap rooms. Like people are spending their dollars and days in a different way post-COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately.
So, but we adapted, as we have shared on this podcast
that's the other
before.
thing. The craft beer industry is so scrappy. It really is. It's a labor of love, and the smartest people are in this industry for whatever reason. And it's very collaborative and creative. At the end of the day,
I think a big part of that comes from the fact that most of us weren't raised in the industry, that we came from somewhere else. That's one of my favorite questions to ask other brewers or brewery owners. Like, what was your job before this? And they're like, oh, well, I studied this and I did this instead. And then I found myself in the brewing industry. Very few have actually been raised. Like our daughter, she's 6 years old now. She'll be raised in the brewing industry. I don't think that's common for folks our age.
No,
but in the industry.
True.
But we are in a mature industry now. We have to admit that at this point. I don't think we're declining. People are panicking because as many are closing as are opening. But that really is the definition of a mature industry. And I think we are at a place now where we make beer, and we've made beer for a while, and that seems to be the big thing people care about. But there's so many other products now that people care about, and we can capitalize on to float the industry.
What's your opinion on hazy IPAs?
And then great segue, Gary. But it's his own category. So. I noticed how he just sidestepped the question.
Before we wrap things up, where should people go to learn more about you and the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame?
Well, Allison read off the website. It's AmericanCraftBeerHallOfFame.com. So that'll get you right there. As far as myself, I don't know what you'd want to know about me, but my books are still out there, Beer for Dummies, Home Brewing for Dummies. I mentioned that I do not a lot, but I am dabbling in self-publishing. And for anybody who wants to become a beer judge, this is what kept me busy during COVID. I put this together. I actually did the first edition in 2020, and then I redid it, adding more information in 2024. So it's not even a year old yet.
We've just been shown the cover, which is How to Judge Beer Like a Pro. Yep. Hell yes. I teach a beer science class. My day job is a chemistry professor at the university down the street. And so we have a beer academy where one of our beer tenders is also a history teacher. So he teaches the history of beer, and then I teach the science of beer.
Cool.
And your Beer for Dummies book has been fantastic because you have to.
Thank you.
You have to there's a difference between teaching the the very technical true science bits, but then bringing it down to those that they want something to do. They're going to come in and enjoy 2 or 3 hours of kind of entertainment learning. And your book has been really helpful in figuring out what folks are interested in terms of I just want to know just enough. And it was so great to use as a springboard.
Also, I'm sitting here reminiscing back to when I actually did a BJCP course myself. It was online in 2005. We were living in Oklahoma. I'm reminiscing back to those times.
You did a course? Like you took it or taught it?
No, I took it. And I was
vaguely remember this.
Yeah, it's a whole. Anyway, my point is seeing that book brings me back to those days when it was only about beer, like drinking beer, respecting beer, and all these. And it became what we do now. And it was spawned in part because of the BJCP.
So where can we get a copy of that book? And when did
you
it
can
come
find
out?
it on Amazon.
Sweet.
Yep.
And I should say, if you ever get up to Wisconsin, which you should, as we are the land of cheese and beer, and we drink a lot of. I should have one final question as a
So
kind
you've
of a
been through here
Chicagoan.
before.
Has anyone tried to combine Malort and beer?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Seriously.
More than a joke.
Well, yeah, but they have, for real.
Yeah.
A couple of breweries have actually put their beer in a Malort barrel.
Yep.
That's one way to do it. But I think there's a lot of Chicago area tap rooms that will just do the mix in front of the customer.
Yeah.
In other words, when they order, it'd be this beer with this shot of Malort.
There's a lot to be said.
Regularly.
Regional pride is a thing, is it not?
Instead of aging in a Malort barrel, you could just age it in a garbage barrel and it'd be the same
gosh.
thing. All right, well, that's going to conclude this episode of Respecting the Beer. The producer of Respecting the Beer is David Kelso, and without David, there wouldn't be a podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show in your preferred podcast player so you never miss an episode, and feel free to join the Facebook group to get updates between episodes and support the show over on Patreon, where you can listen to the bits that don't make it into the show and get beer that is brewed especially for Patreon members. Links to both of these are in the show notes. And until next time, please remember to respect the beer.